桥站到了。
We are now at 钟楼。
All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, good afternoon, and good afternoon. Welcome back to the AsiaTEFL Live webinar. And this is our fourth webinar. And today, just now, okay, we had our promotional video of AsiaTEFL 2026. So please search for more information on where AsiaTEFL 2026 will take place next year and join us. It's a big crowd, and I'm sure you want to be one of them. Okay. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to pass the session to our moderator today, which is Mr. Subhan Zain. Okay, Mr. Dr. Subhan Zain, by all means, the screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Warid. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, the AsiaTEFL webinar, the fourth in 2025. I'm sure we're going to have an exciting and insightful session today because we have not two, but three special speakers from Myanmar and Uzbekistan, and they're going to share with us information related to English language education in the two countries. So the project, this webinar is From Policy to Classroom, English Teaching in the Peripheral Context. And the rationale for this webinar is given the fact that we have learned quite a lot about English language education in contexts such as India, Bangladesh, South Korea, Japan, and many other countries. However, there are countries which have not been explored that much. In other words, these are underexplored countries, and we are keen to learn about these countries, to understand how English language education has developed in those countries, the relationship between policy, research, and practice, and how this has affected teacher education, for example, an area in which many of us are involved in. So I would like to introduce the three speakers here. One of them is from Myanmar, and the other two are from Uzbekistan. Miss Maimai Win, are you with us now? Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. Very good to see you, Miss. Okay, so Miss Myanmar, Miss Maimai Win completed an MA in TESOL at Lancaster University in the UK in 2011. She worked with the Ministry of Education at Yangon University and Yangon University of Education from 1991 to 2008. And then she worked with the British Council from 2009 to 2019. Currently, she's working as an education consultant, focusing on teacher training and teacher development programs in English language education, mostly with institutions in the private sector. So having worked in the public sector and participated in several teacher development and education reform programs, such as the British Council Effect Project and UNESCO STEM project, hopefully she can contribute. Some useful insights and as well as experiences to all the areas that I have mentioned earlier. So let's give a warm applause to Ms. Maimai Win, who is going to be one of our speakers. So thank you for joining us, Ms. Maimai. Yes, thank you. And then the second one is an associate professor, Nagiza Alimovna Mahmudova. Miss Prof. Nagiza, are you with us?
Yes,
I think
hi.
you are. So yes, okay. Hello. So everybody,
Hello.
this is Associate Professor Nagiza Mahmudova. We've known each other for a while because we are involved in a British Council project together. She is an associate professor in the Department of Linguistics and English Literature at Uzbekistan State World Languages University. And she has over 21 years of experience in teacher education and research. Her academic interests include literary studies, technology in English language teaching, and materials design. She has contributed to the Tempus Project at Aston University, and she has also served as the chief investigator of the British Council, supporting the project English as a School Subject. Prof. Mahmudova is an active member of the university's Research Seminar Board on Language and Literature, and she has also served as on the editorial board of the ARIS Journal as well as the Journal of AsiaTEFL. So welcome, Prof. Mahmudova. We are very happy to have you joining us. So thank you. And then the third one is also from Uzbekistan. Yes. So the third one is also from Uzbekistan, Dr. Nagiza Kushkarova. Hello, welcome to the AsiaTEFL webinar. Dr. Kushkarova is a Hombai alumni whose journey began as a rural English teacher and which has led her to become a policymaker in education. She is a graduate of the university. She is a graduate of the University of St. Andrews and St. John and a proud alumni of the University of Cambridge through the HP Cambridge EdTech Fellowship. And she brings together deep expertise and passion for continuous professional development, as well as the transformative role of technology in education. Her work reflects a lifelong commitment to empowering teachers and shaping policies that create meaningful learning opportunities for all. So everyone, please welcome Dr. Nagiza Kushkarova, who is going to be a second presenter from Uzbekistan. Okay. Yes. So thank you. We've seen some hands applauding in the background, so it looks very good. So now here's what we are going to do. We're going to have two presentations, and maximum we have 25 minutes for each presentation. Regularly, the presentation is between 15 to 20 minutes. So when it is 5 minutes beforehand, then I will let you know so that you'd be ready, so that you do not extend beyond the allocated time. Okay, so that the presentation can be completed within the designated time. And then we first start with a presentation from Myanmar, and then we continue with another presentation from Uzbekistan. And for the audience, many of you who are joining us online from many different countries, I can see people from Bangladesh, from India, from Uzbekistan itself, from the Philippines, from Indonesia, Malaysia, and also from Vietnam, from many different countries in Asia. Welcome. Just to let you know that we're going to have two presentations in sequence, one from Myanmar and another one from Thailand. Yes, thank you. Someone has just reminded me that he is from Thailand. Yes. So from all those countries, please be reminded that we are going to have two presentations in sequence, one from Myanmar and another one from Uzbekistan. And then after that, we're going to have Q&A sessions, a Q&A session in questions to the presenters. You can ask questions about English language education in Myanmar, or about particular issues related to English language education in Uzbekistan. These are two underexplored countries. So in the TESOL literature, they are still considered as the peripheral context, and we are very keen to learn about the situation in these two countries. So again, let's welcome these presenters, and we are going to start with the first one, and that is Ms. Mai Win. The floor is yours. If you would like to share your PowerPoint slides, be my guest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sylvan. So please let me share my screen here. Oh, does it go? Can you see my screen and can you hear me well? Okay.
Yes, we can. Thank
you. Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. I am Mimi Win, and thank you very much for inviting me to talk here on English language teaching in Myanmar. And I am representing Myanmar TESOL Association. And here, this is where I am from, the country, and we have the neighbors of Bangladesh, China, Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia. And today, I'd like to talk about four things in my presentation: the background of English and English language teaching in Myanmar, current trends, challenges, future directions. And I like to include a bit of the insights or the voices from some learners, teachers, administrators, and employees. And I must tell you this before we start the presentation. This is not a research report, and this is just personal reflection and personal perspective from me as an ELT practitioner. So, background of English and English language teaching in Myanmar. And this is the timeline ELT in Myanmar. And we regained independence from British in 1948, and then we had the British system in education. The books were in English and the teaching was in English. But in 1965, there was a nationalistic movement, and English was kind of downsized, and the books were rewritten in Burmese, or the Myanmar language. And since then, there have been curriculum reforms, and the textbooks have been rewritten, but there's one thing in common across all these years, that is the assessment. It is still, until now, based on more on memorization. And quite recently, in 1920s. We try to have communicative language teaching, but again, to some extent, and there are quite a lot of challenges, and it is not the total communicative language teaching and assessment, nor the learner-centered teaching. And this is the status of English in Myanmar. In Myanmar, English is a foreign language and lingua franca, and is in the expanding circle. And we use English for academic purposes to communicate internationally and for trade and commerce. And English is a compulsory subject both in basic education, which is primary and secondary, and in higher education for the tertiary level, colleges and universities. And according to EF English Proficiency Index, Myanmar high, very low in English proficiency. So this is about a very general information about the status of English in Myanmar. Now, teaching of English in the curriculum. And I like to present about two sectors, the private sector, the public sector, and the private sector. In public sector, we have public schools, and they follow the curriculum of Ministry of Education. And it's from kindergarten to grade 12. And when students are 18 years old, when they are grade 12, and they are supposed to take the high school completion exam to go to the higher education, to attend the colleges and universities. And in higher educations, the teaching of English is from 2 to 4 years, depending on the kind of institutions. In the private sector, we have schools and the college level. And for the schools, there are two types. Private schools, which follow Ministry of Education curriculum, and the private international schools, they follow international curriculum, and most of them follow the UK curriculum, UK IGCSE, Cambridge and Pearson, and some of the students, some of the schools follow US curriculum, GED or K-12, and some, very few, I would say, Canada or SST. And for the higher education, for the private colleges, international colleges, they offer Pearson Edexcel Level 5 HND diploma, leading to top bachelor degrees and more. And there, English is an additional subject. And this is about teaching of English in the curriculum. And regarding assessment, in the public sector, the assessment is done using the locally assessment materials, and the assessment is more on reading and writing in English. And speaking, some schools manage to do the speaking assessment to some extent, but quite rare. And even when they do the speaking assessment in public school, it's more on memorized items. And the content of the assessment is mostly textbook based, and assessment techniques and tasks more on memorization. We try to include the critical thinking and the meaningful, realistic use of language, but to a very satisfactory level. In the private sector, the private schools which follow MOE curriculum, they do the same as public schools. They take the locally assessed assessment. And for the international school, because they have the international curriculum, and they do follow Cambridge, Pearson, or UK, US assessment systems. And there's one interesting thing about assessment in English in Myanmar, and that is international English tests. They are quite popular here, and you can see Cambridge Young Learners Exams, Starters, Movers, Flyers, KTPET, FCC, CPE, okay, they are very popular. And Cambridge IELTS is very popular. It's quite huge among the students who are planning to go abroad for overseas studies. And we do have BS in English International Test and TOEIC and TOEFL, and TOEIC and TOEFL are mostly for students who are planning to study in Japan. And Duolingo is there as well. So this is about assessment. So what about teachers and teaching materials? In the public schools, teachers are local teachers and they are locally trained. And the teaching materials for the basic education, locally written textbooks. And for the higher education, we do have the UK publication live from National Geographic. In the private sector, the teachers, the majority of us are local teachers and some are internationally qualified. We do have foreign teachers, both native speakers and non-native speakers with varying qualification and certification. For the teaching materials in the private sector, for the primary and secondary, they follow the UK and US curriculum. They have internationally published course books. And for the higher education, because it is an additional subject, depending on the institution, they teach academic English and business English, and they use the course book, which are internationally published, mostly from the UK. And this is something to do in ELT teacher education. As you can see, there are institutions and names of some of the institutions and the qualifications offered at these institutions. In public institutions, we do have the Yangon University, University of Education, University of Foreign Languages, and they offer the ELT diplomas, postgrad diploma, ELT, ELT-M, ELT methodology, MA, and PhD. For the private institutions, there are some of the names, and mostly we follow the UK qualifications. So we have diploma in TESOL, Cambridge Selter and Telter, and some organizations offer Trinity diploma. And there is also a non-profit and non-government professional organization, which is Myanmar TESOL Association, where I'm volunteering. And we do have English DKT training, and we offer free CPD programs such as training, webinars, and conferences. So to recap the status of ELT in Myanmar, I'd like to give you a quote from one of my professors. According to him, curriculum was reformed from time to time. However, the assessment policy does not seem to have been changed significantly. And you can see the year when it was written, it was in 1999, and now it's over 30 years. Sadly, it is still relevant, this quote. So this is about very general information about English and English language teaching in Myanmar. So the current trends, what are we having now? Okay, and there is a preference on international education over public education, especially among affluent families in the urban areas. And the learning English, people keep learning English, the students and the parents keep sending their kids to the English schools or international schools in the hope that one day they would be able to do academic pursuit and career prospects, especially overseas. And the level of English, the students' level. Maybe this is just a small segment, but those who have gone to international schools or those who have gone through these international exams, English level is very high. It's quite high, I would say, and getting higher and higher compared to the previous generation due to the probably because of the exposure from the social media. And there are also other foreign languages which are being learned and taught, Japanese, Thai, Korean, Chinese, and they are mostly for employability and for the migrant workers. And Japanese, this is a bit popular among the students who intend to go to study in Japan. And these are the ELT qualifications available in Myanmar. And the qualifications, you can see we have bachelor degrees, master degree, and the Cambridge ones, and the PhD. PhD degrees are offered at the public universities. And the organizations, commercial organizations, and non-profit, non-government organizations. And there are also international organizations such as British Council, American Center, International House, but they offer certificates through CPD webinars. So the challenges. We have several challenges. Okay, so the first thing is the EFL situation. I think it is quite common in in many EFL countries. We have very limited exposure to natural and correct use of English and very limited learning resources. And added to this, there's a digital divide. So we have very limited opportunities to use English for a meaningful purpose. We don't communicate in English in the outside world. And another thing is accessibility. There's a gap, a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots, and between the rich and the poor, between the people who are in the rural areas and between the people in the remote areas. There's a gap. The gap between the learning opportunities very limited, and the majority of the schools, in the country are public schools, and they follow the public curriculum. So the teaching and learning can be very traditional, not very CLT, not very communicative, not very learner-centered. So the future directions, what do we have? Okay, they are just my thinking, and okay, some of them we can see the evidence here. So the first one, the AI, it is coming to us, it is with us, especially among the teachers in the rural areas. The teachers are living with AI for their day-to-day teaching. May not be to a very high level, to a very large extent, but it is here with us. So technology integration, I think that there will be more of the technology and the AI in the ELT in this country. And the learning modes. After the pandemic, we have both physical and virtual classrooms, and the blended, hybrid, and flipped classrooms are now popular. And due to the fact that people cannot go from places to places, and there are many factors why we chose those kind of learning modes. And another thing is the needs-based teaching. This is really sad. I'm sad to talk about this. Our country is not stable politically, and one more thing. In March, we had an earthquake which claimed loss of human lives and human property. So we all are experiencing trauma in different forms. So the teachers as well as students. So in the classroom, I am sure that the teachers, the educators will start to think of how to provide classes in teaching, not only in general classes, but also in English classes. And another thing is, as I mentioned, we have challenging, complex situations. So people will start to consider these in teaching English to students. So the English lessons in the future will not be just English lessons, not just grammar, not just there will be values added to them, like 21st century skills, social, emotional learning, and the well-being for teachers and learners. And these values in some classes already, especially in classes in private schools and international schools. So all things considered, given the aspiration, despite the challenges in the peripheral context, I think personally English will remain the key foreign language to be taught and learned in the future. Maybe at least in the 5 and 10 years time, and there will be a growing demand among teachers for ELT CPD and qualifications. Now, and these are some of the comments made by people that I talked to for this presentation. I managed to talk with not many, but maybe about 10 or 15 people. And here, what we can see on the screen is voices from the learners, but they are from international school. I'm sorry I couldn't reach the students in the public schools. And one thing interesting is they all are Generation Alpha. The oldest person here in this group is, I think, 12 years old. And this is what they said. Their aspiration, what they want to do. Yeah, I'm not going to read them out, and you can see what they want in their classes, what they want their teachers to be. I talk with some teachers, but some comments are I include only salient. So as you can see, these teachers want to see the balance between the exams, orientation, and the communicative practices in the classroom. The teachers in rural areas, they need training. And okay, free training for center and the digital. And from school administrators, not from public schools. Okay, so retaining qualified local teachers, they seek job opportunities overseas or whereas, okay, looking for the greener pasture and okay, okay, and even proficiency and the class size and parental resistance, okay, and shortage of trained teachers. Okay. And one person mentioned, and I left this comment, we must move beyond teaching the book. And this is something that I have witnessed in many of the classrooms here. Okay, many private schools and international schools, they can afford the internationally published course books and they use the books and they teach the book. I don't feel that they are teaching the students. So this can be another webinar. Okay, so they are from voices from school administrators. And okay, from an employer, not from many, okay, only 1%, but from a very different industry, from a shipping company. And this senior captain, okay, can you read this on your own? Okay, and you will see what's happening there. Yeah, so you can see that, okay, the seafarers, the shipping company, they need English. So this indicates that, okay, people in Myanmar need English, want English, and they want to learn English. But sometimes, okay, because of some mismanagement or, okay, some reasons, okay, the English is not taught and to the level that we want to achieve. And personally, I think that, okay, English language teaching in Myanmar needed to be upgraded and updated so that we can have a higher level of education, so that we can have a better future for the country. And these are the articles that I referenced for my talk in this presentation. And thank you very much. And this will conclude my talk. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
will answer your questions later. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I will
Thank you very much. So the members of the audience are already giving an applause to our speaker, Ms. Mai Mai Win from Myanmar. It's an exciting and insightful presentation that she has just given us. I myself, I am amazed by the diversity of voices included in this presentation. So I think this needs to be advanced, further in a research project of some kind, for an article publication or something. So something to think about, Ms. Mai Win. So from the diversity of voices that we have learned here, we learn voices from students themselves, from teachers, from employers, as well as school administrators. And this highlights the complexity and dynamism, as well as the challenges of teaching English in Myanmar. So I'm sure that many of us have got questions to ask Ms. Mai Win later on. So if you do have some questions, as I have already written on the chat box, you may raise your hand, and then after that, I can hand over the session to you so that you can ask the questions directly to our speakers. Or you can write down the questions on the chat box, and then I will read out the questions one by one, and then you need to specify who the questions are for, so that after that, the speakers can respond to your questions appropriately. Okay, so thank you again to Ms. Mai Win, and we're going to move to the second presentation, another another peripheral context that has not been explored much in English language education is Uzbekistan, right? So Uzbekistan, as you know, is a landlocked country. It's a big country, somewhere in Central Asia, right? Close to Mongolia and as well as Russia and China. But we haven't heard much from people in Uzbekistan. I myself, I don't read much about English language education in Uzbekistan. So that's why I'm very keen to learn about English language education in the country. And I'm sure this is a shared sentiment amongst many of us. So Associate Professor Nargiza Mahmudova is here with us, and Dr. Nargiza Puchkarova is also here with us. So they are going to present to us this session called From Policy to Classroom, English Teaching in Uzbekistan. So Nargiza, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Subhan, and thanks for AsiaTEFL for giving us a chance to present our country. And the topic of the presentation is From Policy to Classroom English Language Teaching in Uzbekistan. And we are going to share this presentation with my colleague, Nargiza Kuchkarova. So profiles were presented, so I will skip this. And today's presentation focuses on several aspects of language teaching in Uzbekistan. The first one revisits the idea of center and periphery in ELT. Then we turn to landmarks in ELT policy. Then examine role of international organizations, classroom realities, emerging trends in Uzbek ELT, challenges, opportunities, and make a conclusion. So first, I would like to introduce my country. So Uzbekistan is extremely beautiful, a double landlocked country in Central Asia with official language Uzbek. It is situated on the crossroads of Silk Road, and it is secular, presidential, constitutional republic having 12 regions. Tashkent city is the capital, and Karakalpakstan is autonomous republic in our country. So median age 27 years. This means that we have more young population who are eager and to learn English and to integrate to global community. So what else? I would like to mention that our country is the place of touristic destinations, and we have very beautiful cities like Khiva, Samarkand, and Bukhara. And just I would like to share that recently memorial of Imam al-Bukhari was restored and reconstructed by our government. So feel free to join, to come to Uzbekistan one day to enjoy this memorial in Samarkand. So now let's move to more serious part of our today's presentation. And in order to frame the presentation theoretically, we draw on Kachru's model of English, of world Englishes that was also mentioned by Mei. And as it is well known, the inner circle includes non-providing countries, the outer circle non-developing, and we belong to non-dependent countries. We belong to expanding Asia and Uzbekistan in particular. So, and while classification still remains useful, but it at the same time oversimplifies context in Uzbekistan because nowadays we can see the tendency that the country into like
Hello, Nargiza. Nargiza, hello. I think we lost you a bit in there. Can you repeat the previous sentences that you just said?
Let me just a second. So such things may happen. So
Yes, of
we're
course.
living in the era of technology, but at the same time we face these like connectivity issues. So and still, what I would like to say that we belong to expanding circle. However, of course, this circle, this diagram is still important and. It remains useful. However, we can see that in our context, thanks to the reforms and strong development in ELT policy, we are not only like passive norm consumers, let's say, but also trying to do something something local, something important, relevant to our own context. So I would like to go through several landmarks in ELT policy in Uzbekistan. So in 1991, Uzbekistan broke apart from the Soviet Union, and gaining the independence, our country steadily developed ELT policy. And thanks to international cooperation with British Council and US Embassy, around the country, we can observe that teacher training materials and teacher training pedagogies were reformed. And thanks to the presidential decree in 2012, English was introduced from the grade 1 and became compulsory subject around the country. And mostly at primary classes, the teachers use communicative approach. In 1218, some new laws were passed, and through NCFR became a national benchmark. And this also boosted the development of testing centers, national testing criteria. And nowadays, we can observe that local policy tries to motivate teachers to learn and to gain some confidence in language teaching and learning as well. And thanks to presidential decree, our teachers now can gain 50% salaries bonus over their salaries if they get C1 certificate. So, and this remarkable changes and reforms in the country, they also probably show that English is becoming an everybody's language in Uzbekistan as well. And the young people, especially young generation, especially the English language teachers as well, understand that this ownership of English language is becoming very much common in our context. And just at the same time, we can see that we should try to bring global and local forces together in dual process, which may be referred to as the globalization of the language. So the globalization of the language is visible mostly in material development, in classroom activities, and in curriculum design. So what else is important here to mention? Just let me. So the role of international organizations. So British Council and US Embassy programs push forward that English-speaking nation programs. Also, I would like to stress upon that USAID provided with international textbooks, local schools, and as it is visible in this image, guess what and prepare. Books are provided 1-to-1 ratio around the country, and all students, they can take the books at home to do their home tasks like workbooks, teacher books, and students' books are given to each student at primary and at secondary school. So the remarkable phenomena in ELT in Uzbekistan is the preset program. that was researched and designed and piloted first at the Uzbekistan World Languages University under the supervision and under the, let's say, assistance of British Council. And the program became extremely successful around, I mean, in Uzbekistan State World Languages University. Then the program was adopted nationwide. And nowadays we can see these results. And preset program is being introduced into some teaching programs around Central Asia via IELCA program. So, and this program is being a part of preset initiative. Looks into two aspects of language teaching, like it modernizes preset curriculum and preset program, and also looks into some areas of inset program as well, like policy reform, school-based CPDs, and new national programs as well. And the recent changes in this program are visible in gender equity and inclusion, sustainability, and local ownership. So what I would like to say here, that preset being a kind of innovative and revolutionary program in Uzbekistan, it gained popularity. It became so progressive in ELT that nowadays the achievements are spread in collaboration to other countries as well, like Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, the neighboring countries of Uzbekistan. So also I would like to stress upon some reforms in our country relevant to gender policy and inclusive education. So the recent changes, the recent reforms, our government passed several laws and regulations on improvement of inclusive education around the country, and to provide equal access to education of ladies, of women, especially in rural areas. And interesting phenomena probably, and we are proud of this, that all women are given a chance to study for free in MA courses around Uzbekistan. So this means that Uzbek government fund studies of ladies in MA, in their MA certificates, to gain their MA diplomas. So, and that's why we can observe this tendency that women are just introducing into the world of education, being well equipped with the local reforms and the local laws and regulations. So, and again, I would like to bring to light the British Council initiatives here, because the reforms conducted in country and British Council's support goes like hand in hand. And in preset program and in IELCA project, we can see that the local teachers, instructors, they are introducing new topics on inclusive education, on how to balance gender equality, gender issues, teachers' well-being, and other aspects of language teaching that still remain problematic. And another important aspect of our reforms training courses conducted by local experts. They are very useful and fruitful and productive. But at the same time, nowadays, we need to have some research projects that address some particular problems. And here I would like to mention another project supported by British Council, English as a School Subject, that looked into specific areas of classroom practices, similarities and differences in classroom practices in Bangladesh, Malawi, Mexico, and Uzbekistan, engagement of primary school children, gender differences, role of translanguaging. And the last focus became one of the most popular areas of investigation in our research group. So, and thanks to this project, 20 units of locally based materials were created And our teachers also gained some confidence that they create something that they could share with their colleagues. And this again demonstrates that the country is becoming, I mean, our teachers are not only like non-consumers, but they also can produce something that they can share and that they can even teach some other teachers around the world. And these materials are locally based and also share some cultural elements as well. So the materials were turned into free to download online teaching materials on British Council websites. So English Speaking Nation program I also mentioned, and it was conducted by American Council. And thanks to this program, teachers went through 3-year professional development, and TESOL experts were invited to refine teaching programs in Uzbekistan. And what I would like to say that two perspectives thanks to the collaboration of British Council and American Council for International Education, our teachers, they became professionals and still, of course, learning and working on over their own skills. But at the same time, they are developing something their own. This means that they're developing something, some creative and let's say analytical skills that may allow them to use local pedagogy effectively. So also it's important to mention teachers communities that appeared during the last 2 decades that support long-term teacher development. They encourage teacher-led innovations, and they serve as informal CPDs. And of course, we have some communities in Tashkent, in the capital of Uzbekistan, and some regional communities that cooperate and collaborate across Uzbekistan. And now I would like to pass the presentation over to my colleague, Nargize, and she will just focus on more practical implication of the reforms that were conducted in our country. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all, and thank you for joining our webinar. So what we can see when we enter the real classrooms, it's mostly very complex picture. The class sizes may be reduced in some contexts, but mixed ability teaching is still the norm in our country, I mean, probably as everywhere in the world. There is also a clear urban versus rural divide in access to resources. Internet connectivity can be at different level. And of course, the professional support, teachers' professional support is still diverse. As my colleague mentioned, the international textbook and the USAID, within the project of the USAID, the licenses were bought for international textbooks. So for the last 4 years, our students are using Guess What and Prepare. But the problem is that teachers not always understand fully how to teach them. And this is something that we're working on. Also, some interesting phenomena are obvious in our classrooms. Teachers do not simply follow the textbook, they try to adapt it to their own context, to our own culture. The books are provided with the supplementary materials, and so teachers play with these materials so that they can be squeezed in the curriculum. They localize them in a way. And this is what we call localization in action. So it's not only in theory, but also in everyday teaching activities. At the same time, we can witness several important issues here and trends. English is becoming increasingly common and among young people, as our colleagues from Myanmar mentioned as well. Russian is still kind of lingua franca among older generations, but younger people are keen on learning English, studying English, because English is opening the world for them. And here I should mention that the hybrid pedagogies are emerging, combining a communicative approach that is coming from the first world, let's say, with what we have here, traditional classroom cultures, which is based on a great respect to teachers. I think this is the practice in most of our countries in our region. English teachers are often becoming kind of innovation leaders, because what starts with English teachers then continues with other subject teachers. And this is obvious in the projects that are led by British Council. For example, in CPD Champions project, we started with English teachers and then expanding to other language teachers. And these school champions, CPD champions, are working not only with English teachers, but all subject teachers, including the school leadership as well. Because this is important. We have also the growing impact of international universities in Uzbekistan. The first one was opened in 2002, and it's Westminster International University in Tashkent. Also, we have American University, Webster University, and they are providing a very good quality master degree programs. And they are quite popular among teachers. They can do that. They can take the courses not leaving their jobs, because they are some of them are online, others are the classes are running in the evening time after 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. So we also have to mention this trends in IELTS, as my colleague is showing the slide. You can see that the number of students that take IELTS preparation courses and take the SID test is increasing dramatically. So why do they do that? Young people want to have better jobs, so they want to have better education and to apply to international universities, also to go abroad and study in international universities abroad. So IELTS opens the door for this, and it's extreme. I can say that it's a IELTS mania. So if you come to Tashkent, everywhere in the streets you can see IELTS language center. This is influencing the the increase of the number of private centers. The number increased dramatically. So international teachers are also coming to our country. For the last 3 years, this number increased from 300 in 2023 to 1,500 this year. So this is the policy that the government is promoting, bringing international expat teachers, which can be well, it's kind of controversial as itself. Yes, to have access to the international teachers is important for teachers, but supporting local teachers maybe is even more important. So this is something to be researched in future. But what is remarkable here is that we're not bringing only so-called native speakers, which represent English, England, UK, US, but also most of these teachers are from Asia, India, Philippines, Indonesia, some African countries like South Africa. So it's important that the students get exposed to what we call different Englishes. As Professor David Crystal said, English does not belong to England anymore. So having a chance to be exposed to different accents, different dialects is important, to have this global understanding of English, global feeling of English, let's say. So talking about challenges, of course, when you, the next slide, please. So when we talk about bringing changes, we should mention the challenges that they come across. We come across. So when one of the most visible challenges maybe is too much of a certificate orientation among teachers, among students. So it's a certificate mania, so-called. And this happens because teachers are more interested in certificates And this is because of the lack of the proper system of teacher appraisal, which affects the salary upgrade. So salary upgrade is now based on not on how effective teachers are in the classroom, but on how many certificates they have. So this is the practice so far, but the ministry is interested in, establishing proper system of teacher appraisal, because what is important is not what teachers know, but what teachers teach and how teachers teach, and what is the result of students. So it should be a more holistic picture, holistic approach, so that everything is considered, not only what teachers know and their certificates. So, and we are very keen on collaborating with the countries in the region to research this, because the good practices that I'm sure exist in your country should be considered. It's all about lessons learned together in the region. Yeah, so yeah, it's not only a lack of research on this, but also we would like to have more evidence-based decision making in the area of ELT. So too much testing should be, backed up with the proper research to prove the need for that. And as I mentioned, this creating of unified, holistic approach in whatever we do is very important. Yeah, so opportunities. So these challenges, they create opportunities for regional and international collaboration, I think, because Uzbekistan is part, only just a small puzzle in this overall regional picture. And we would like to collaborate with colleagues. So taking the opportunity of presenting today, I'm just addressing colleagues that are online that would like to collaborate on the areas of research on teacher motivation, teacher agency, which I believe is very important, to have joint studies on the impact of testing, excessive testing. Then maybe something could be done on the lessons learned around localizing curricula of English and maybe other subjects as well. And the collaboration on teacher training and professional development, I think, also could be very interesting, as we all share the same context, well, not the same, but similar context, similar problems. The demographic features are quite similar. So what you can see is that Uzbekistan, as part of this periphery, is not silent. It is producing knowledge that could be shared with the rest of the world. And I would like to conclude that we are part of this expanding circle model, and this model is, we represent ambitious teachers. The changes are very dynamic, so it could be useful and could be meaningful for the researchers to learn and to take part in the joint researches. So I would like to say that being in the periphery, we're not just adapting what is, provided by the countries which are in the first circle, but we are also adapting this, and we're not dependent on the materials, international good practices, but also we have, as a country, we have agency, and it's at the government level and at teachers level. We would like to strengthen that agency within teachers, because it's really important that teachers are the change agents, but they can be change agents only when they are ready for that and when they want it. So to create the system, to create the culture where teachers are eager to change, not because they have to, but because they want to, is really important. And we see it as the, as the locomotive for the change overall. And yes, so we are not the country that is only in periphery, but we also are creative, adaptive, and we represent the most motivated teachers, I believe. And we have a great need for English, for English language skills among wider population, because we are aiming at economical growth through expanding the touristic opportunities, first of all. And we have a great number of young people. I mean, most of the population, more than 50% of population, are people under 25. And as a government, we are aiming to equip them with the necessary skills, which is English, IT skill, to be successful in the labor market and in academia. Thank you very much. We're ready for your questions, suggestions, and recommendations.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's really great, Ms. Nagiza Kuchkarova and Associate Professor Nagiza Mahmudova, who have presented an interesting session on English language education in Uzbekistan. And there are so many interesting ideas that and localized situations that I have learned from the presentation. But one thing that really strikes me is that English language education in Uzbekistan is still peripheral, but it is not marginal, right? That's a very important point, right? Because it is a country that's adaptive, right, and creative, you know, in developing English language education in the country. So I think at the moment, Uzbekistan, it appears to me, is facing the great challenge of meeting the needs of globalization while at the same time trying to accommodate local needs. Okay, so these are some of the insights that the presenters have shared with us, and we thank again the presenters, Ms. Mai Win from Myanmar, Associate Professor Nagiza Mahmudova from Uzbekistan, as well as Ms. Nagiza Kushkarova. So thank you very much. We have already got a few questions lining up in the chat box. So here, I would like to read out the first one so that this can be answered by our presenters. So I think the first one is this one. So Arif Mukhtiar Jatoy, one of the presenters, asked, do certificates awarded by the British organizations like British Council, by the organizations such as British Council, add value to our profession? How? So I think this question was asked during the presentation by the Myanmar speaker. So Miss Mai Win,
Yeah, thank
please
you.
answer this question. How certificates in the context of Myanmar add value to the profession of teachers in the country?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sopan. Yes, okay, they do have high values, and the British Council here in our country, okay, it is, for many of us, it's an esteemed educational organization, and the certificates offered by the British Council are highly appreciated. And the teachers, they take the free courses from Teaching English British Council online. And the British Council also gives some a small amount of funding to some organizations, and we to encourage the teachers to follow the courses. And many teachers on their own, even without taking the funding, they take the courses, and because we know that, okay, because they put their certificates on the Facebook posts, okay, telling the world that they have got these qualifications. So I think that they are of high value, and many people appreciate the certificates from the British Council. Thank you. Did I answer?
That's great. Thank you very much. And I think this question is also relevant to the context of Uzbekistan, especially with the coinage of the term certificate mania, right? So we have a new word now, certificate mania. So Dr.
Let me answer on behalf of
Mahmudova
the.
and also
Okay.
Dr. Kushkarova, please respond to this question by explaining to us the situation in Uzbekistan.
Let me do that.
Yes, please. Yeah.
From the perspective of school teachers, and maybe then colleague will add about the pre-service. So British Council was quite so far has been very active here. So, but as for certificates, what is counted for salary bonus is now the language certificates. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, as being the most available and most objective in terms of being provided by external organizations, and it's IELTS, TOEFL, and we introduced TESOL certificates as well. I mean, as for the salary bonus, and it's still there. But again, so teachers struggling to get the certificate sometimes spend too much time on this rather than teaching students. This is the reality that we have to face. But this was done because the government wanted to motivate, to incentivize teachers of English. No other subject teachers can have this opportunity, and they usually complain about that. But still, this is a reality. As for British Council, for 3 years we were running the online courses on the OTC platform, online teacher community. Probably colleagues also have this chance. But they were considered as the alternative to official teacher training, obligatory official teacher training courses. So yes, for this, yes. For salary bonus, no. But as for the alternative certificate for obligatory teacher training, they were considered.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for the response, Dr. Kushkarova. Now we have the second question, and I think this question is also relevant to both countries because presenters in the two countries mentioned the fact that we've got no native speakers of English teaching in Myanmar and Uzbekistan, as well as the native speakers themselves. So there is a participant named Fida. She asked this question: could you specify the opportunities for non-native speakers of English teachers in the countries, in this case, Uzbekistan and Myanmar, and do they need any language proficiency test? So, Ms. May, you have the first turn to respond to this question.
Thank you. For the public schools, there's no requirements for the teachers to submit their level of English, but in some private schools, they expect the teachers to have at least B1 to B2. And in my experience, when I work with teachers from private schools and international schools, they fall within the range of B1 and B2, and there are some few people who are in C1. So, although there's no specific requirement for English proficiency in the private sector, in international schools, teachers are expected to have at least P1 or P2, P2 preferably. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nagiza Mahmudova,
yes,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And in Uzbekistan, local teachers are expected to have at least minimum B2 certificate in order to work as teachers, and the same requirement is common for foreign teachers as well. But foreign teachers, they are let's say they are funded by government and they are paid much better salary, I would like to say. And yes, usually they are supported also by school, and another teacher of English usually assist in classrooms because they may encounter some translanguaging issues with local language, I mean. So that's why usually foreign teacher is accompanied by a local teacher as well.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you, Nagisa. Now, just a reminder, coming from a participant named Malika Ibrahimova. So this sounds an Uzbekistani name. So Miss Malika Ibrahimova asked, is it possible to have PowerPoint after the webinar? And I did relay the question to the conference, the webinar organizers, and the conference organizers will collect the PowerPoint and email them with the recorded video based on the data we get from the attendance form. So all participants, please complete the attendance form using the link that has been provided to you, okay? All right, now we also have another interesting question, and I think this is quite controversial, given the fact that international organizations such as the British Council and RELO have assisted a great deal in terms of English language investment, etc., in Myanmar and Uzbekistan. But the question is, don't the organizations like the British Council and RELO work for the imperial purpose? And that is promoting only the English language, its dominance and its teaching, and suppressing other local languages. So this question was asked by a participant named Arif Mukhtiar Jatoy. So yes, I think this is relevant to both Myanmar and Uzbekistan. Ms. Maimai, will you be happy to answer the question first?
Well, as far as I can see, at the British Council, because I used to work with them and I used to work at the teaching center, I taught English classes there. So English is the language that we must use in the classroom. So English is the medium of instruction at the British Council. But at the same time, the British Council is encouraging multilingualism and translanguaging. So I cannot say that they are kind of down, degrading the local languages. But at the British Council, in their office, English is the language. It's the formal language for them.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. I also have something to say about that, supporting your opinion, but we would like to hear from the Uzbekistani speakers first. So, Nagisa Kushkarova or Nagisa Mahmudova, will you be happy to respond to the question?
So Nagisa, please. Then me also.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand why people need English. I mean, it always comes from inside. We definitely have a strong demand for English because English is making the future of our children, more successful. So yes, British councils, they work mainly with teachers of English. They promote English the same as American councils. But who benefits from that? The system, the local system benefit, children benefits, the economy benefit, parents also do. So yeah, I understand this is a very good question and a very deep question. So actually the answer to this question is not just on the surface and not maybe it shouldn't be answers right now. Let's see what happens in 10 years, in 5 years. Yes, English is a lingua franca. English is an instrument to be successful. It's not the destination, but it's the instrument, a tool to be successful in a labor market and in academia. But one thing should be mentioned here that British Council now works not only with English teachers, and again, this is on demand, on request from the ministry. So if local ministries, local governments are more open, more proactive in what they want to have as a result of the international partnership, these also, can have the impact on the result. So what we start with just teachers of English, we scale up with other subjects, and British Council now is developing the programs for all teachers at the teacher training level. So we have the Avaloni Institute of Teacher Training, the Republican National Institute, and the programs, 100 hours programs that I mentioned in my slides, are developed with the help of the British Council, because what we're talking about is not the language teaching, it's just teaching in general, and its approach is the methodology, learner-centeredness, and this is applicable to all subjects, and this can have the impact on all teachers. So my colleague can add anything.
I would like to add. So the thing is that when Uzbekistan broke apart from Soviet Union, Russian language first, of course, was the language that united all 15 republics. And when the country became independent, it became open for global collaboration, and English language became the part of national policy in order to link Uzbekistan to other countries and to other communities as well. So that's why, to my mind, we only benefit from just strong development of English language policy in our country, and because this gives the opportunity to all our citizens to enter the global community. And moreover, I would like to add that not only the certificate mania is common not only for English language teaching, French, German, Russian language. The teachers may also get certificates in that languages, in these languages as well, and also got their incentives just for their salaries. So that's why I would like to say that other languages are also supported in our country. However, not as English language, of course. English language is a dominant. Even we have more teaching hours on English language compared to Russian language at schools.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much for the elaborate answer from Ms. Nagiza Mahmudova and Ms. Nagiza Kushkarova. I would like to add to the point based on my own research. When I was doing research for the British Council, this point was actually an interesting point of discussion among the participants, where some of them said that, okay, the British Council is promoting linguistic imperialism, but on the other hand, there were also participants saying that, no, it's not really true, right? When in fact, in general, in the context of ASEAN, that's the 10 Southeast Asian countries that I was researching, English, on the one hand, yes, English is promoted, but on the other hand, the British Council, in my opinion, has changed their stance when it comes to dealing with national languages as well as local languages. So if we're talking about the situation in the past, with that theory of linguistic imperialism by Robert Philipson, yes, probably it's true if it was in the 1960s or the 1970s, or the 1950s, when the British government and the American government wanted to maintain world hegemony using the English language. However, now the situation has completely changed, right? Where English is mainly used for social mobility, right? As much as it is used for expanding local expressions. And that's just what's happening around the world, where many countries are benefiting from English language education provided by international organizations such as RELO and the British Council, as well as the Australian Foundation. So there are many countries benefiting from the process. So we cannot say something, using a one-sided argument, right? We have to look at things comprehensively. We have to look at things from different angles so that we can have the right informed decision. Okay, now we have another question here, and this one is specifically intended for our Myanmar speaker, Ms. Mai Win. So this is from Uzbekistan. I am Begmatova Sohiba, a senior teacher, a PhD holder from Uzbekistan State World Languages University. And I have a question to Ms. Mai Win. You have mentioned some challenges which English educators are facing because of political issues in Myanmar. How do teachers access professional development under current restrictions? Thank you in advance for your answer. So, Ms. Mai.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the question and thank you for the interest. So, yes, we are having instabilities, but some private universities are still open. Public universities are open. So some people go to these public universities, to continue doing their master's and PhD degree. And especially those who are in the private sector, they just tend to do the courses from Cambridge or from the UK or some from the US, and mostly online. But for the CELTA certificates, some people, if they can afford, they go to Thailand, to Bangkok or Chiang Mai to do their CELTA. And for the master degrees, some people, they get scholarship and they go to the designated universities to complete their master's level. But we keep on doing things. And as I mentioned, there are commercial institutions and the non-government, non-profit organizations such as Myanmar. So we keep on providing CPD opportunities through webinars, and it's quite difficult for us to have a group of people together in one place. So we usually do the online webinar things, but sometimes we do have in-person events, but we need to be very cautious. But we keep on doing things, we keep on learning.
I see. Okay, yes. Okay, good. Thank you very much, Ms. Mai Mai Win. Now we have another question from Associate Professor Ramesh Nair. How strongly does translanguaging feature in Myanmar and Uzbek ELT classrooms? What guidelines do your language policy documents say about this? So let's hear from Ms. Nagiza Mahmudova. Can you respond to this question to talk about the situation in Uzbekistan?
Yeah, about a decade ago, teachers mostly exercised this like English only policy. And whenever they were asked, are you using English only? Yeah, the common answer was, yes, I'm using English only policy, like English only in my classroom. But during the project, via interviews and lesson observations, we realized that translanguaging is very common practice in our country, and the teachers, they shouldn't be shy to use their own language in order to explain some the norms of English language, especially at primary schools. And as the research results showed, the research was English as a school subject. The research was conducted on children and with children. And the focus group discussion results and interviews, they showed that students were happy when teachers were using both local language and English language, because they felt they were not so much shy to respond. They were open to ask questions. And whenever the teacher used English only in the classrooms, they became more like depressed, because not everything was understood by them, especially grammar rules. So that's why translanguaging is common practice and welcomed by local teachers and students as well, especially in the low resource context, like rural environment, for example, among young teachers. As our population statistics show, we have more young teachers nowadays, and they try to learn from more experienced teachers, but at the same time, we tried even to explain that translanguaging is not bad thing at all. It is one of the practices. It is one of the pedagogies, methods of teaching around the world. And just 10 teachers that we observed, they became happy with this. And the translanguaging is a good thing, and they continue to teach without this sense of guilt that they are not using English only policy. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Ms. Mai Mai Win, can you respond to the question? How strongly does translanguaging feature in Myanmar, in the Myanmar classroom? What guidelines do your language policy documents say about this?
Well, in the basic education, the textbooks, English, maths and science textbooks and economics, they are written in English, but the teaching is in the mother tongue, and they use L1. But teachers are supposed to use English in the classroom. And the same as in the universities level, EMI, okay, we have tried to promote the EMI, but to this day, as far as I know, as far as I can say, we haven't promoted the use of English that much. But we are using the local language L1 to use teaching English and other subjects. And so far, I don't have the policy documents in my hand, but okay, as far as I know, English is supposed to be the language of instruction in both institutions, both in basic and higher education.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Mawin. Now, another question. This one is from Amity University, Tashkent. Question to Nagiza Kuchkarova. What measurements are planned to take or have been taken to reduce the certificatomania among teachers? What are the solutions to promote self-study and professional career development among teachers? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Usually, the role of assessment is crucial in education. So what we test is what we teach or what we do. So if teachers know that they are going to be assessed against the number of certificates, then they focus on this. But we are planning to introduce the system of the holistic school-based teacher evaluation in future, which would consider what teachers do in the classroom, as I said, so including the tools like lesson observation, peer-to-peer learning, and a self-paced professional development. So it's not only about the papers, but about the actions, because having highly qualified teachers is one thing, but it doesn't influence the economy, because money talks. Whatever is education for is to prepare human capital for future economic demands. And this is what is important. The number of certificates of students probably could be the better solution. And just now, for the last 3 days, we are now running the initiative of the ministry is to run the project called Foreign Languages for Future. And all school graduates now within these 3 days are being tested to see the starting point. And then with the help of the international teachers and local teachers, they will get the intensive courses, only the graduate students. And in May, they will be tested again to see the results. So here I would also mention the role of the international teachers. Yes, again, it's a dilemma around this. When we say native speakers are, native speakers are not the panacea. So native speakers just bring their own strength, but the era of native speakerism, as Michael Connolly says, is over. So it's a nice term. I love it, native speakerism, because actually it doesn't matter. And bringing back to the previous question, it doesn't matter what language do you use, or what is the percentage of English to your local language in the classroom. What matters is what is the result in the end, how well equipped with the language skills are your students, what is the socio-emotional environment in your classroom and at school. So and the recent PISA shows it's not only about the academic success, it's about how happy they are at school, how ready they are to the future challenges and calls, how resilient students are, and
yes,
life skills to be developed.
Okay.
And English is just an instrument for that.
Great, thank you, Dr. Kuchkarova. We still have a couple of questions.
Prof. Subhan, Prof, 2 more minutes, Prof.
Yeah, we still have 2 questions, and these are yes, no questions. So this can be answered by yes or no by the three speakers. So question for Ms. Nagiza and Ms. Mai Win. Is there a mandatory certification to be considered professional teachers? And should they report regularly to the schools their teachings as the evaluation? So this question was asked by Fadila Yonata from Indonesia. So is there a mandatory certification, and should the teachers report regularly? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, and it's called teacher's
Yes.
attestation, but it's mainly subject knowledge. It's multiple choice on subject knowledge.
Right. Thank you. And in Myanmar?
Yes, from Myanmar, yes. In the public school, teachers need B.Ed degrees or diploma in teaching. But in private schools, many teachers are expected to have the CELTA or at least TKT.
Right, thank you. So the last one is about AI. Please respond to this briefly. A question asked by Nanafat Senghon. My question slightly diverges from the talks. How are English language education policies responding to the rise of AI? And do you think AI risks reinforcing existing center-periphery inequalities in peripheral contexts? So in Myanmar and Uzbekistan, please.
Our country supports wise use of AI in language teaching, but overall positive about AI.
Very positive. Okay, thank you. And what about in Myanmar?
Yes, in Myanmar, we welcome AI, but there has been discussion on the ethical use of AI in education. So we use it, but we use with caution.
With caution, yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Now the last one is a request from Ririn Sotyarini. How to get information about future webinars by AsiaTEFL Webinar team. So I will leave this to the webinar organizers to respond. So that's the end of our session from our lovely speakers from Myanmar and Uzbekistan. So let's give a round of applause to Ms. Mai Win from Myanmar, and also Associate Professor Nagiza Mahmudova and Dr. Nagiza Kuchkarova from Uzbekistan. So we really appreciate your contributions, and we are very happy to have you here, and we are very happy as well to have learned from you. So now I will pass on the baton to the conference organizers. Maybe you'd like to organize a picture together with the participants of this webinar.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Dr. Subhan, and also to our speakers of today's webinar. So before we conclude and everyone goes to their own ways, perhaps we can switch on our camera so that we can take a picture together and then we'll post it on our Facebook, okay? All right. Answering while you guys are switching on your camera, just to answer where you can get information regarding our future webinar, it will be on our Facebook. So if you go to the Facebook, there's just type AsiaTEFL and join us, and you will get updates on regarding our activities. Okay. All right. So the first, because we can't include everyone into the picture, so I'm just gonna take by frame and frame. So this is frame number 1. Just bear with me for a while. Okay. So frame number 1 done. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go for frame number 2. Oh, we have plenty. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to go for frame number 3. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining our session. Just a quick advertisement. AsiaTEFL's Conference 2026 will be next year in Jian, China. You can go to our website, asiateflconference.org, and then to get more information regarding how to submit your proposals and how how to travel there and so on. So do join us in May next year, and I hope to see you guys there as well. All right, and also I know that some of you already have 300 certificate, but if you need a certificate, don't forget to fill in the forms, okay? All right, thank you. Have a nice afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Happy coming New Year.
contribution.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye.